Here are 10 signs that you should look for a new job. If you haven't watched the channel before, this is Reverett Recruitment Solutions. My name's Seb. We do videos aimed to help employees either in work or those seeking work. The purpose of the channel is to cut through the noise and the nonsense and all the rubbish that's out there and get to the actual real facts and hard opinions of what's really going on. If you like the sound of this channel, do consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, don't forget to click the bell icon and select all so you won't miss any one of our videos. Okay, the first sign that you should probably start looking for another job is a toxic culture. Now, what is a toxic culture? Well, think of a workplace where everyone's pretty miserable, probably workplace bullying's going on, no one's really friends, nobody really trusts one another, and add to that, there's probably quite a high turnover of staff. That's not making for a very pleasant working environment. Now, as human beings, well, safety is a key thing for us. If you had family and you didn't feel safe around them, or you had a friendship group and you didn't really trust any of them, well, you're probably not going to want to spend much time with them. So if you're going to be in a work environment where, let's be honest about it, you're going to spend most of your working life, most of your waking life even, are you really going to want to be around people that you don't really trust, that you think are going to stab you in the back at the first opportunity? Do you really need that in your life? Probably not. So if it is that kind of environment, then unless there's a real clear reason that something's going to change imminently, then the chances are it's probably not going to change. If you're unhappy about it now and you don't do anything about it, you'll still be unhappy about it in 6 months, 9 months, 2 years' time. Don't be that person that sits there that puts up with it just because they think, well, that's how it is. There are much better jobs out there. Don't do it to yourself. Job security. What about that? What if you're facing possibly losing your job? Well, we did a video about how it works or signs if you're going to be made redundant or anything like that in a previous video, and I'll put the link up there. So if you want to know the signs to look out for and what to do about it and all that kind of stuff, check that video out. We also did a previous video on how a redundancy works if you already find yourself in a position where you're facing your first redundancy and you want to see what the process is. We got that video as well for you. But if you are facing job security, quick answer, if you've been there less than 2 years, you're not really entitled to any money money as a payout. Redundancy doesn't really exist inside 2 years unless the company's incredibly generous. So you're probably not worth hanging around for more money. It's better probably just to go. Even if you've been there longer than 2 years, it's only really if you've been there probably 4 or 5 years onwards and are getting a decent wedge of money or in a senior position that it's probably going to be worth your while hanging around. If you're not going to get plenty of money at the end of it, it's not really worth it, then I'd probably jump ship now, go and find something before all of your colleagues, well, they're all on the market looking for the same jobs you are and you're all doing it at the same time. So getting out now, jumping ship early would probably be the more sensible solution. A dead-end job. So a dead-end job, what is that? Well, that's a job where there's nowhere to go. You've got no progression, there's no training, there's no development for you. The same job you'll be doing now will effectively be the same job in 5 years' time. Nothing's going to change. Now, if you're happy in that job and you're fine in it and you don't need any more money and you're just contented, then fine. We've all probably had, I know I have anyway, a dead-end job. I remember when I was studying originally, I had a job in Argos and that was fine. But would I want to work in Argos when I'm 35 and have been there for 20 years? Some people, they just want the money. They're just happy about to earn a job and earn a living and that's it. Maybe the more important things to them are outside of work. But for me, I was studying, I wanted a career, I wanted to go places. So it wasn't going to satisfy me. So if I'm going to stay in a job like that just because it represents job security, then that's not really going to get me where I want to go. And if you're in a dead-end job and you know it, and you know you want a bit more from your career than that, then that's a definite sign you need to move on. What about family circumstances? Maybe you've recently got married and you work a day shift and your partner works a night shift. When are you going to spend any time together? Maybe you've only just started moving in with one another. And that might present some challenges if you're never going to see each other. Certainly it's not going to be very conducive with a healthy relationship, or at the very least it's going to propose some serious challenges. But what if you've had a baby? You're in the position then where when do you spend time with them? Certainly if you're working a weekend shift, you might want to go out and spend some family time with your brothers, sisters or whatever and their children, or your friends and their children. and spend some quality group family time or some friends of friends family time. Social time, when are you going to be able to do that kind of stuff if you're working shifts or doing hours and it's not working, it's not conducive? So if you're in those circumstances, that's probably a sign you need to go and have a look for another job. What about money as a reason for leaving a job? Well, I've got mixed opinions on this. If your only sole reason for leaving a job is just to get more money, then I'd ask you, at what cost does that come? And what I mean by what cost is, if a company's going to offer you more money, well, what are they not going to offer you that your old job probably did as a trade-off for that? Because that's it. There's always a trade-off for getting more money. And I'm not saying don't go for more money, but money really should be a byproduct of real reasons for leaving. I'm talking real reasons for leaving like, well, I want to advance myself to be able to warrant earning more money. So somewhere that offers me training or progression or an industry that's going to fly, something like that, where money is the byproduct of having that development. If it's just to do the same job that you're doing today with no development, no progression, none of that stuff, and you get more money just for doing the same job that you're doing, then there's probably a trade-off somewhere. You see it all the time where people go and do a job where they keep moving every 9 months because they're miserable or so stressed out or job security is an issue. So I'd have a real think about, is money as a sole reason for leaving actually a very good reason for leaving or not? My opinion, I don't think it is. Travel cost and travel time. So I'm going to bolt these two in together because it's around travel basically. So if you have a commute to and from work, maybe you've got a train ride to get there or a bus journey, but the fares have gone up for that and it's starting to pinch your bank account enough where at the end of the month you're starting to see less and less money and it's getting a little bit concerning, then you probably want to do something about it. Travel fares, well, it never gets cheaper. The prices only ever go up. So if it's a problem now, it's just going to be more of a problem in the future. But I've also said about travel time. Perhaps your commute's getting longer to get there. Perhaps there wasn't as much traffic and now there tends to be an awful lot more traffic and it's becoming an issue. Maybe the workplace has changed your working times. Maybe they've made you go back to the office and you only did 2 days a week before and now you're doing 5 days a week and you're finding it's really eating into your morning, but it's really eating into your evening as well. Well, travel cost and travel time, if they're a problem now, they will simply be a problem ongoing. So you probably want to do something about it, and that's a clear sign that you want to move on. Now, one of the things in the future is AI, robots, replacing human beings, replacing jobs. We're seeing it all in the news. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't think it will be quite as extensive as people might say, but it certainly will present challenges to certain careers or job roles that we currently recognise that are inevitably going to be replaced or cheaper for companies to replace. So if you're in a position where you can see that robots or AI can do your job more efficiently or more productively or cheaper than you can do it, and companies are starting to invest and bring in that equipment, then your job is probably at threat at some point. I'm not saying it can't be adapted and moved into something else, but you probably want to be aware of what's coming on the horizon. Now, although technology moves quickly, you will be able to see fairly far in advance whether it's going to affect your job. The first sign that it could affect your job, I'd probably start looking for another job and another career move out of the industry that you're in, because inevitably it will go one way one day. What about a great opportunity? What about if someone approaches you that you know, that you trust, who's launched a business that looks like it's going to take off, or someone who you've worked with in the past, who you respect and who likes you and who always used to look after you, works somewhere that's really starting to fly and they could see you coming in a key position and making a difference there, and they approach you about a great opportunity like that. Well, that presents a project, that presents something that's going somewhere that's more than just you earning. You can do something that you can love. Richard Branson once said, if you get someone offers you a great opportunity and you don't know how to do it, take it and work out how to do it after. Now, as much as that sounds very inspiring and great, you might have to think of a mortgage and bills and the financial aspects of jumping in and taking a risk like that. But I'd certainly consider it. I'd certainly look into it. And I'd certainly consider whether one day you would regret not taking a great opportunity if it was presented to you, because great opportunities for most people, well, they don't come along every day. What if the industry that you work in is dying? What happens if it's a type of technology-based industry? Let's take VHS tapes, for example, and you specialise in a company that does that, or you work for a company like Blockbuster that refuses to go online. Well, they're doomed to failure. The thing is, it's all very well staying in those jobs until the bitter end, but what happens at the bitter end? You're going to be out of work and you're going to be in competition with a lot of other people that also stay to the bitter end. If you know your industry is on a downward trend, maybe the company that owns your company, or maybe the industry in general, it's cheaper to get workers and labour done from abroad, and they're moving everything out of the country you live in abroad, then you have to face the inevitable. It's on the decline, it's on the downward trend, and sooner or later you're going to be out of a job. It's probably better to jump ship before it gets to that point. Let's talk health. So if you have health issues, whether they're caused by your job or not, you need to take that into account. If you carry on doing a job just because you've always done it and you know that your health is in decline or it's at risk from the job that you're doing, then if I'm being honest, it's probably a silly idea carrying on doing what you're doing. I understand that you might have a certain income from the job that you're doing and the alternatives might not pay you as well, but what would you rather do? An early grave, a very, unpleasant retirement? Or do you want to try and recognise that maybe you need to find a way of adapting in the meantime? You don't have to do this overnight. Maybe you need to part-time retrain. Maybe you need to look at another opportunity, or maybe downsize some of the costs that you have. But if your health's there, you've got one life and you've got one retirement. If you just carry on doing what you're doing, presuming it's going to be okay and ignoring the inevitable, then that could cause you problems. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to be able to adapt your life and perhaps take less money than what you're earning in the profession you're doing. But if it's going to affect your health, I would strongly advise you do something about it, because you probably will come to regret it. And if you do something about it now, your future self will probably thank you for it. Bonus one, if you haven't been keeping count, this is number 11. So I've put this in there as well, basically because someone's going to put it in the comments, and it's happiness. Should I leave a job because I'm unhappy? The problem with this one for me is if it's when you're going down that route of I'm only going to leave job and get a new job because it's going to make me happy with the buzz of getting a new job. People who do that kind of stuff tend to be moving job after job after job every year. That doesn't look good to employers. If you want a good job and a company's going to invest in you and develop in you and give you time and treat you well, it will put employers off. Ignore what Facebook tells you. Right? If you keep changing job every 9 months, every year, even every 18 months, it will cause you a problem. So if you are going to leave a job, don't just leave because you're unhappy. Understand what's going to make you happy. Understand what it is you actually want from a job that's going to be sustainable, so you can stay somewhere for 3-4 years. That's really what you're looking for. Don't just find a job because it's going to take away your unhappiness now and just give you a temporary boost. Find something you're going to be happy in long term. Okay, so that pretty much sums up this video. But before you click off and watch the next one, do give us a like. Don't forget to do that. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, click that bell icon and select all and subscribe to the channel so you're not going to miss any one of our forthcoming videos.